Hi, it's Lee from ColouringQueen.net, and today I want to show you Romantic Country, the second tale, the English edition, but I also want to show you how it stacks up with the original edition that I purchased from a Japanese bookshop nearly a year ago now. So I've got some sticky notes on here to explain a few little differences between the two books. I'm not going to keep you in suspense and make you wait until the end of the video. I'm going to tell you right now that the English edition is really good and they've done a fantastic job on the imprint, and in some ways it's better than the Japanese edition, but I'll let you guys make up your own mind when you see the review. So let's have a look. The front cover of the English edition has a dust jacket on it, and the dust jacket folds out. There's nothing to colour over here, but we've got this craft cover with hot air balloons on it, and that pattern wraps around to the other side of the book. And we'll just fold that one over. And we've got the dust jacket on the back and wraparound cover there. Now, on the original edition, it's not a dust jacket in the lighter format, it's a card cover that folds out, and it's got a design on it, which that design's in the book. It's a circus design, and on the back we've got that same card cover fold out. Now, I did weigh the two books, and the Japanese edition is just a few grams heavier than the English edition, and the reason why is because of that card cover, I suspect, that makes it slightly heavier. As you can see up against each other, they're roughly the same size, taking into account that card cover that's on the Japanese edition. So we know that we're getting, a good quality paper, etc., from the imprint. So let's have a peek. So we've got our front cover, and all of the illustrations, etc., are in the same order as they're in the Japanese edition. Now, there's one difference. The paper is a medium quality in both books, but in the Japanese edition, which is this one, you'll see that the paper is whiter, and the one in the English edition is an off-white. So that's the first thing that you might notice about the paper. The wonderful thing about this is that we can finally read what Eriy has actually written here. And she used 1,200 toothpicks to draw this book. Eriy's art is always extremely unique because she's the only artist that I know that dips her ink into a toothpick, and she uses that as a pen effectively. So this book took 1,200 toothpicks to create, and so you'll never have a book that's more sort of handmade than this type of book. And as such, the line art is varied and different weights and different colours depending on where she is in her toothpick stage. So now we've got these lovely, chapters, etc., and we can see what it says and the writing, etc. The chapter notation in the English edition is slightly larger than in the Japanese edition, so we'll just have a look over here. Now, I will say that the paper in the Japanese edition feels slightly sturdier than the paper in the English edition, but they're both a medium quality. So see how in the Japanese edition that chapter actually takes up a bit more room than in the English edition, because they also include the Japanese and the English text. So with the English edition, you're getting more room there to create a lovely background. Now, for those of you that are into binding like I am, have a look at this book. I've only leafed through it when I was going through to work out the differences and put my sticky notes on things, and look at that binding. Look at that. So that is fantastic, and in some cases it's actually better than the Japanese edition, which, as you can see, turns over like that, and I have to be very strong and push it down, but it will push down to the same way as the English edition, but I do need to flex my muscles and I may need to get hubby onto the job. But the English edition is turning over, laying down just after one flip through. So that's why I'm very impressed with what the English publishers have done. Now we've got all our beautiful drawings, and remember, Eriy works with a toothpick, so you're not going to get the slickness of a computer generated or computer illustrated imagery with Eriy's work. It's always going to have that sort of handmade, hand-sketched look to it because of the unique way that she does her artwork. Now you also have to excuse the noise in the background today. It's 40 degrees in Sydney and I am absolutely melting, so I've had to put on the fan, so I hope it's not going to be too noisy for you. So if you're not familiar with Romantic Country, I have a Pinterest board set up on there, and it's basically a trilogy. So there's 3 books currently, the first tale, the second tale and the third tale. I have all of them, and you can see the review of the Japanese edition of the third tale. Only Romantic Country 1 and 2 have been imprinted so far in English, and the third English imprint for the third tale is due out in May of 2017. But if you have a look at my Pinterest board, you'll see how gorgeous these all look when they're coloured in. They're just amazing. There's also a number of tutorials that you can have a look at on YouTube and see how they look coloured in as well. Now on this picture here, it's very black and crisp, so I just want to show you the Japanese one. So you can see that the colour on the Japanese book is more of a brown than a black. So it does actually look better, I think, in the black, but really it's personal preference. And I see that I've missed a little sticker here where I've noted everything. So I'll just go back a few pages. Yeah, so on this image here where I've got the sticker, just wanted to indicate that on the English edition, which might surprise you, you actually get more picture. So have a look at this column along here, and you can see how much of the column that you can see. You're getting all of this outline and whatnot. But if you look at the English edition, the Japanese edition, getting myself confused now, you can see that we get a lot less of this picture. So there's a difference in the amount of artwork on the page, just in some images. And you can see that that's because this picture has been positioned differently. So on this side of the picture, you're getting less of the imagery. So I'll just move that over. So see how much of the column you can see on the English edition, whereas on the Japanese edition, there's a lot less. So just put that aside. We'll just go back to where we were. And so in some of the images, there's just a little change of positioning. So I've got a sticker on this one. So that means I need to refer to my trusty book over here. And you can see on the English edition, so over here for example, let's move that over, you're getting a lot more of the gems, whereas on the Japanese edition you were getting a lot less. So there's about 2 or 3 mil difference, and of course that comes from the other area. So on the other side of the page we're getting more tree in the English edition than in the Japanese edition. So it sort of just adjusts on how it's been presented on the page. And again, we're only talking a couple of millimeters. So So the whole thing with Romantic Country is Eriy has set up this amazing world called Cocoa, and there's all these sort of little lands and whatnot within it and characters, and it's just an amazing imaginative story that spans 3 colouring books. There's different characters, like this beautiful duck that's in all of the stories. And we see lots of interior shots, exterior shots. We've got little fairies. Now, if you're ever looking for an all-purpose colouring book that's sort of got the lot, like nature and people, fairies, you name it, Romantic Country is always the one that is on the top of my list. And with this one here of the little fairy, I just wanted to point out to you, and this is a problem that we have when images aren't created on a computer, but on the original Japanese edition here, you'll see that the fairy is a lot darker ink, whereas it's lighter on the English imprint. So it shouldn't make any difference to your enjoyment of the book, just something I'll point out to you. So this is The Witch and the Secret Forest, and we've got these elaborate and beautifully detailed pictures. They're just divine. And again, are you seeing how easily this is just folding down after just one flip through? So it's really, really good. And it means that we're not losing things when we go to colour in. Now, some bits are going to be a little bit trickier, like this Cocoa Times doesn't look like it's lined up properly, and the O's sunk into the gutter there, but for the most part it seems like it's really well positioned. Yeah, so with Romantic Country, one of the reasons I love it so much is there's just so many different things to colour in. And this year I'm spending more time colouring, that's my hope. And so I want to practice things like flowers and fruit and vegetables. And so the book that I selected for that was, of course, Romantic Country, because where else can I get so many different varieties of things than this book? It's got it all. Then we've got our pancake party. And here's that lovely circus illustration that features on the inner card cover of the Japanese edition of the book, but not on the English edition. And this is the illustration, the hot air balloons that they've chosen to use on the craft cover of the English edition. And on the back we can finally read what these gorgeous little places are in the land of Cocoa that Eriy has imagined. And so it's also a little visual index as well, but lovely information about all of the things in each particular chapter. So in chapter 1 we've got these castles and the food pantry. In chapter 2 we've got mountains and clock towers and barns and whatnot. So a lot of work has gone into the preparation and layout of this book. Now, in just like in the Japanese edition of the book, we've got the section at the back which comprises a little collage or shadow box where you can cut out images from the book, colour them in and create a little background. Now, I was really quite surprised that they included this because usually when we've got an English imprint, it's usually, not quite as good as our Japanese one, but they've actually excelled with putting this book together. So they have done an excellent job of recreating the book exactly as it was in the original edition, with the fold-out poster, with that little shadow box, The only difference so far of any significance is the dust jacket versus the card cover, and there's a few little images that are a couple of mil difference from others. With the one in the English edition, what they've done is added card weight paper, and they've got it on a perforated page, so we can tear that out. So let's do that. Little perforation lines along here. Watch me rip it. No, tears out perfectly. So then we've got our fold out poster where we colour these little items in, fold them over, and make that little fairy box or little shadow box, just like in the normal book. So I'm really surprised that they've actually even done the poster with the English edition. So I think it's fantastic that they've gone to so much effort to reproduce the book exactly as it was in the original edition. So there we have Romantic Country, the English edition, as compared to the Japanese edition. You can see, and I've weighed them, the only difference is a few grams, and it's in that card cover. So we've got medium weight paper in them. The paper in the English edition is off-white. Paper in the Japanese edition is white. A few millimetres difference between some of the images there, and difference in the dust jacket. Other than that, they're pretty well exactly the same. And the links to buy this book, or both of these books, are below the video. And until next time, happy colouring.